Welcome to another edition of the Bonus Features Podcast with Alex and Robert. Today, we've got news and reviews meant to amuse, and we're bringing it all to you.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to the third episode of the podcast. Today, we've got a good amount to talk about, but before any of that, Alex, it's good to see you again. Some weather we're having, huh?
Not really. It's usually about 30s, 40s this time of year.
Okay. So moving on, the Avengers Infinity War release date has moved to April 27th. That is our first news item for the day, and it's a big one. Big news story. It's kind of unprecedented that we've seen a movie of this caliber and production budget, what have you, move back a week this close to its release. We're only a couple months away now. What do you think? I guess what was your initial reaction to hearing that?
That's kind of what I was thinking. I would have imagined if they were to have moved, it would have been a lot earlier. And I think this probably had something to do with Deadpool, because Deadpool kind of caused a ripple effect, because if I'm not mistaken, didn't Rampage also move its release date?
Yeah, there have been a bunch of major shifts in release date as of late. But the other perspective that I noted is it seems as though this is also going to allow even more breathing room for Avengers to dominate the box office before another major tentpole of Disney's comes out later in May, which is the Han Solo movie, which undoubtedly will do well, probably in my prediction not as well as Avengers, but probably also very well. But this move gives them enough breathing room between the box offices, between their blockbusters, to allow both to kind of have their own reign.
Yeah.
That's kind of what I thought the rationale was behind it, but also there's just nothing coming out that weekend.
Yeah, April's pretty uncrowded, and we'll get to a little more of that later, but really the only movies that'll be out at the same time are, limited competition, I would say probably from... Actually, I would say major competition from Rampage, but obviously nothing unprecedented. And then a little bit from Truth or Dare and Super Troopers.
Mm-hmm.
But again, I think for the most part, Avengers is obviously going to take precedence over those movies for a lot of people.
Probably over a lot of the other movies in the year. It seems like that's the movie that's going to be the one to beat, money-wise.
Money-wise for sure. But we'll see. I mean, Black Panther's still... they've got to be at $1 billion by now.
They're at... Last I checked, it was... I thought it was 900, but it might be... It might have just crossed $1 billion, unbeknownst to me. But without any of that, it's doing very well.
Either way. So it'll be interesting to see how they compare. But yeah. Oh, also related, the running time has been confirmed.
Was it 2:36?
2:36. I'm sorry, audience. We reported the rumored was 2:30. We lied to you by 6 minutes.
Yes, we did. 2 hours and 36 minutes. That's pretty good. That's a little bit... Wasn't Civil War like 150 something minutes?
It was close. I mean, it's like we're kind of getting into semantics. Like, well, this is like 3.5 minutes longer.
Yeah.
What does that mean for the Marvel Universe?
It doesn't mean much, but
yeah,
it definitely seems as though a movie of this caliber, Infinity War, kind of needed to be that big, having all these characters in it that have been established over all this time.
Especially since they're splitting it into... we've mentioned this before. It's like, it makes sense that it's that long, and now we just know.
Yeah, now we have it confirmed.
Cool. So moving on, we got John Francis Daley and Jonathan Goldstein have closed the deal to direct Flashpoint. Again, we kind of talked about this already, and we mentioned that they directed Game Night. And the one thing I would like to add, though, is it'd be kind of cool if maybe they helped do rewrites, but we'll wait and see. But now that you've seen Game Night, how do you feel do you feel more confident that they could direct this?
Surprisingly, yes. I really, without going into too much detail, I really liked Game Night. I think that even as comedically, it's great. It's one of the best, regular comedies I've seen in a while. But also, the action Like,
Yeah.
a lot of
right? Isn't it? It's really good.
There's one fight scene. It's,
in the kitchen?
Yeah. It kind of has no business being as good as it is. In a comedy, I'm like, this is really well choreographed and just neat. Like, just a lot of interesting ideas of, like, people using their environment to hurt each other. And it's great. I'm like, I'm hoping that can be lent well to a Flashpoint movie.
To go slightly off topic, what did you think about Jesse Plemons?
Oh, he's amazing. He was
so great.
His comedic timing is like, it's just like stunning. Like you wouldn't think that from an actor with his pedigree of like filmography, but he's freaking hilarious.
Okay, yeah. So next up, Kristen Wiig is no longer just in talks. She's now confirmed for the role of Cheetah in Wonder Woman 2. And that was confirmed by director Patty Jenkins.
Yes, and it was confirmed via her Twitter page, where she posted a picture of Kristen Wiig saying, quote, "So excited to confirm the most thrilling news. Yes, it's true. So incredibly lucky to welcome the sensationally talented Kristen Wiig to our Wonder Woman family. Can't wait to finally work with one of my favorites, and so excited by what we have planned. Hashtag Cheetah, 3 exclamation points at Gal Gadot," end quote.
Okay, it's very important that you made note of the 3 exclamation points.
Yes, I don't want to leave anything out here.
Yeah, you don't want to misquote people. That's not good.
No, I'm not here to slander individuals.
Right. Also, just want to chime in real quick. According to Omega Underground, and these guys have been getting a lot of scoops lately.
Okay.
But they're saying that they're going to start filming May 28th in London.
Okay, that's a healthy release date for next year. They're planning. Okay, I like that.
So, thoughts now that we have it official that she's gonna play Cheetah?
There've been a lot of people kind of decrying it and saying that, like, I don't think Kristen Wiig has the chops to do it, and it's like, I'm not necessarily worried about that. I think she can. I think she's been in movies where she's been required to play things more dramatically. I think she's capable of it. I've never seen her play the villain. I know she played the villain in Zoolander 2, which is a movie that never happened because it sucks. But no, I've never seen her play the villain really in anything, and I'm interested to see how she does it. I know you have concerns though over a lot of the physicality that I think a role like Cheetah would require. Am I wrong?
Yeah, it's just I've never seen her in a super physical role, and I mean a lot of the times it's kind of like you can't really tell because they're using stunt doubles anyway. But I don't know. I thought it would be nice if it was someone who was more familiar with stunt work. For instance, I know that this was mostly rumor, but Charlize Theron was a choice. And I'm not saying her necessarily, but someone like that who maybe has more experience with stunt work. But if they go the CGI route, none of that will matter, but that's also something I'm hoping that they don't do, because I'd rather it be more practical effects. And I'm kind of a little on the fence about her being a villain, but, at the end of the day, I think she's a good enough actor where it'll be fine.
Yeah.
It's just that's not a choice I really would have expected.
Yeah. I, for one, you mentioned Charlize Theron, she's kind of who I imagined playing that character. If I were to fan cast it, I'd put Charlize Theron in it. But, I guess that's confirmed now that Kristen Wiig is going to be playing that character in Wonder Woman 2. All right, so our next story is filming on Martin Scorsese's The Irishman has officially wrapped. The film is, of course, based on the true story of Frank Sheeran, a labor union official with mob connections who got involved with the disappearance/slaying of Jimmy Hoffa through one way or another. The movie is, of course, going to star Robert De Niro as Frank Sheeran, Al Pacino as Jimmy Hoffa, and Joe Pesci as Russell Bufalino, the mob boss that Frank Sheeran worked for back in the day. This is a big story because this movie is going to be a big deal. It is going to be distributed by Netflix.
Is it?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, I don't know.
It's a production. They're bankrolling it and they're distributing it.
Okay, so you sort of just took the wind out of my sails.
Yes, but listen to this cast. I already said Robert De Niro.
Yeah.
Al Pacino, Joe Pesci, Harvey Keitel, Ray Romano,
really,
and Bobby Cannavale, along with Anna Paquin and a couple of other people. Jesse Plemons is also in it. Who we mentioned earlier as being a standout in Game Night. But The other thing that's interesting to note in this is that there's going to be some serious digital work done on this movie, special effects wise, in de-aging the actors, because De Niro, Pacino, and Pesci are nowhere near the actual ages of the individuals they're playing.
Really?
Yeah.
So I was not aware of that, but I mean, originally I thought it sounded good on paper because I was kind of looking forward to Scorsese returning to form, I guess, because gangster movies are kind of, that's kind of what he cuts his teeth in.
Yeah, he hasn't really done one since Casino, really.
Yeah. Well, but the other thing is, I was going to say about his movies, a lot of the good ones, they sort of have a gangster movie feel.
Especially Wall Street, yeah.
That's exactly what I was thinking, because it's kind of like, hey, young, fresh kid gets recruited into this new crazy world, and like everyone's so ridiculous and kind of lives in such excess.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought, Wolf of Wall Street definitely, mirrored a lot of the themes of Goodfellas, for instance.
Right.
So, originally I thought this sounds pretty good, but the fact that's on Netflix, I was being a little dramatic, doesn't make me just completely, well, now I don't care.
Yeah.
But it's just like,
there hasn't been a good track record for movies released exclusively there.
Yeah, so you can see my concern is all.
Yeah, I feel you. It's also very expensive, which is, not scary. I feel like if this were any other director, it'd be scary. But it does sound like what's going on is very ambitious, and Scorsese is a very ambitious director. But we're talking of a budget, north of $120 million.
What I'm kind of surprised about that is it seems like Scorsese wouldn't be the kind of guy who would like Netflix.
Yeah.
Because I know he's critical of certain new things like Rotten Tomatoes.
And digital filmmaking.
Yeah. So this kind of seems weird that he's sort of, I guess, kind of given into those things.
Yeah. Maybe it's because of just Netflix's interest in this project. Maybe the fact that they were just willing to bankroll this really ambitious thing, because the thing that worries me is the whole de-aging thing. It's going to be a big part of the movie because obviously De Niro, Pacino, and I think even Joe Pesci are going to end up playing these characters throughout, I think, their entire lives. Not necessarily like childhood or anything like that, but I think they are playing them from like the 40s or 50s in their ages onward.
Oh, I wasn't aware of that.
Yeah, so it's going to be a big deal. But then again, it's like, this isn't, this is a post-Tron Legacy world where it's like the de-aging thing in movies has become very, very sophisticated and good-looking.
Yeah,
but when it's used sparingly.
And that's the thing, is I think it will be used sparingly because the movie, at least from what it sounds like, will mostly be focused on the murder and disappearance of Jimmy Hoffa and not like a sweeping large epic, like the chronicling of Vito Corleone through Godfather 1 and 2. Yeah.
But I see why a director like Scorsese would go to such lengths to make this possible, because how in what other arena are you going to get three guys like Pacino, De Niro, and Pesci in a movie? It's never happened before. And I think it's just an incredible sounding project, and who knows, maybe it will pan out. It's just it's something that's, again, unprecedented, and we'll see how it works, but the movie has finished filming as of this week.
And I think at the end of the day, I will say that I'm still looking forward to this despite my hesitance because of Netflix, and that's because Scorsese really hasn't released a bad movie in a while. I saw Silence was the last thing I saw, and it wasn't amazing, but it was still really good.
Right. I think the worst movie I've seen of Scorsese's was a movie called Bringing Out the Dead, starring Nicolas Cage, which is a lesser one. And even at that, it's not a bad film per se. It's just it wasn't up my alley.
But I think it's safe to say that now that he's returning to gangster movies, which he's shown he has a pedigree for, that this movie has a very good chance to be a quality one. Moving along, our next story, Deadline has announced 7 Marvel movies between 2020 and 2022. Obviously, we kind of already knew most of this, but now we just have more specific dates, and I would imagine they'll probably add a couple more so that it gets back to their regular 3 movies a year schedule. And I think it's safe to say some of the prospects, Black Widow being one for 2020 since what's her name? Jacqueline Schaefer?
I think so.
Whatever. Jack Schaefer is working on a script for Black Widow, and James Gunn announced Guardians of the Galaxy 3. And based on what's going on at the box office, Black Panther's probably going to fit in there somewhere. What are your thoughts?
Black Panther, yeah, definitely the sequel to that. Or there are other sequels that we haven't even thought about. Like, I completely forgot that Doctor Strange was a movie. And that probably will get a sequel at some point. But
I wouldn't mind a sequel.
No.
I think if it was between certain heroes and others, I'd probably choose the other. Like, if it was like, oh, well, we need one more movie for this year. We got Black Widow, Guardians of the Galaxy, and it's between like a Doctor Strange sequel and a Black Panther. I'd 100 times over choose the Black Panther sequel.
Right.
But that's also because Black Panther I liked, I would say, a decent bit better than Doctor Strange.
Same.
I thought Doctor Strange was all right.
It's fine. It's definitely, for me, it's like a middling effort, but it is a movie that people really liked, and I would imagine they kind of would be interested in a sequel because especially at the end of Doctor Strange 1, there's a lot left sort of to the cliffhanger with certain characters, you know. Also, I would imagine maybe a Captain Marvel sequel could be one of these.
Oh, yeah, because I think they've been talking about that already.
Right.
Because they seem to have a fair amount of confidence in this movie.
And it with sort of, I guess, leading into the whole cosmic element of the MCU, I guess, is also another thing, which they're trying to expand on.
See, that seems to come natural with the territory since Carol Danvers, of course, was she half Kree?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay, yeah. Because I have some of her comics. I've read a few. I'm not super well versed in hers.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think about the unexpected? And by that I mean South Park's still on the air, Family Guy's still on there, Simpsons is still on the air. Could that possibly spill over to Iron Man's still getting his own movies, or Captain America's still getting his own movies?
You know what? I hope so for some of those. Like, I feel like I really hope the Russo brothers just stick around because they've proven that they're kind of the best filmmakers in the MCU.
Or at least the ones that mesh with the producers
at
Marvel best.
Yeah, for sure.
Because I think that's important to note is it seems Disney, I mean, they kind of invented the whole, like I don't want to say assembly line, but sort of like the machine that makes a movie. It's like the
corporate-friendly movie.
Basically, yeah, without sounding too egregious or sinister.
No,
but
it definitely works for them. I mean, they're making tons of money on it, and they're garnering a lot of fans through it, myself included. Maybe not as diehard as others, but I like the movies they make for sure. And I think that no matter what any of these, what right now are untitled movies are, the Marvel ones, I'm sure will probably at least worth watching. You know,
that's kind of what I figure, and I think they're probably going to make one for most of the characters I want to see.
Mm-hmm.
I guess what would be of these next 7? What would you say are your top 3 hope to happen? And this can include, let's say the deal goes through, and they can use X-Men and Fantastic Four.
Oh, geez.
Let's go. 2 Marvels and 2 or 1 X-Men or Fantastic Four. What do you got?
2 Marvels. Well, I'd like a Spidey 3 because I know we're getting a Spider-Man Homecoming 2 or Spider-Man 2 or whatever it's going to be called.
Oh yeah, I think they're supposed to be. There's already been talks about 3 because again they're feeling pretty confident in that.
You gotta have 3, especially because there's still so many. You know, we've had a lot of Spider-Man movies over the past few years.
So that's why we need more.
We need more, but also there's so many villains they've yet to touch on. I want to see Mysterio, dude. Let's get Mysterio going.
I agree with that, but I was kind of being sarcastic.
Oh no, I mean it's like, again, like for me, Spider-Man is the Batman of Marvel. It's like I like him so much that I don't really care how many movies there are. As long as they're different, that's fine. And that was kind of my issues with the Mark Webb Spider-Man movies, which I won't get into. They're kind of too similar to the Sam Raimi ones. But anyway, I think a Spider-Man 3 would be great out of those. Another one,
Like, just whatever ones you would be most looking forward to.
I'd like to see a Hulk solo movie, even though I don't think that could happen legally. Can it or no?
But who knows?
Yeah. Maybe even Namor. That'd be neat.
Which is, again, the
and
same...
Who knows?
Yeah,
same thing as Hulk.
thing.
The rights are who knows. X-Men. I don't know. I'd like to see an interest... we've yet to do an Omega Red justice, in film.
Well, because he was technically in
3.
Last Stand.
Oh, yeah.
But I mean, it was one of those things where I looked at the title or the casting bill on IMDb, and I'm like, what?
It's like a blink and you miss it type deal.
No, not even. It was just like the guy. I think it was the guy like shooting bones out of his arm or whatever in the forest scene.
Mm-hmm.
I think that was supposed to be him, if I'm not mistaken.
God, I'd also like to see. I'd like to see Bishop done a little bit more justice, because while Days of Future Past was great, Bishop was not a...
He was barely in it.
No, he was not a standout at all. Was that all of them? Or I'd like to see a good Fantastic Four movie. I mean, that's always on the table. But I don't know. I'd like to see some new things.
So Spider-Man, some sort of... okay, so you said like 10.
Yeah.
But okay,
well,
great.
I'll count Namor and Hulk as one, because they're both kind of halvesies. Because it's like, well, they don't really have the rights.
Maybe they could make that work, because it's like they have to... Okay, just throw in, I don't know, like Hawkeye or someone. And then it's like, no, it's a Marvel team-up movie, so...
Oh, man. Yeah, I don't know. What do you think?
I would really like to see Black Widow.
Yeah.
And that's because of all the comics I've read of hers, I've rarely read one I didn't like. And that's across a number of different writers and artists and whatnot. But I just think that'd be a cool movie. Sort of a James Bond-ish, Marvel-styled movie would be really neat to see. Mm-hmm. And I'd say a Black Panther sequel would be cool.
Yeah, that's definitely expected.
Because I'd like to explore Wakanda a bit more.
Yeah.
And I guess I would go with an X-Men movie where it's Mojo World.
Oh, that'd be fun as hell.
Because I think that would kind of fit, because it's like, the whole game show aspect of Mojo World, like the TV show.
Right.
I think that'd be really good, especially with the whole idea with Marvel's things being kind of comedic. Because I could just imagine, like, Captain America and Iron Man's like, what the fuck is this? like I think it would work for like that sort of almost farcical element.
Right.
So I think that'd be cool.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think there's a lot of exciting stuff to look forward to.
For sure.
Next up, Christopher McQuarrie is being eyed to direct Green Lantern Corps. And with his Mission Impossible movies, I think that he would be a great choice for this.
Yes, there's also another, I guess word from the rumor mill, quote unquote, is that he's looking to have Tom Cruise join aboard this as like an older Hal Jordan. Because I guess Tom Cruise is in line with, he was kind of one of Warner Brothers' choices to be Hal Jordan for I think they were initially planning a solo, just Green Lantern film. But... yeah, I guess just to add to that, it's like, yeah, I would love Christopher McQuarrie to make this. Though his sort of reach into sci-fi is very limited. I feel like his grasp on story and scale and set pieces, like, hell yeah. Why the hell would I not want to see this?
See, that's the thing. I think because of the scope of the Mission Impossible movies, obviously, like, he may not be like an expert in like floating space wire work or like CGI or like action specific things, but I think he has enough background in the general sort of elements of action that could carry over to Green Lantern. Although I gotta say I'm not really too keen on the idea of Tom Cruise as Green Lantern.
No.
Well, I don't mean to like sort of jab at old wounds, but it's kind of like, it doesn't seem like it really worked out with Batman necessarily. Mm-hmm. And it's not like, I thought Ben Affleck was fine, but I just don't get why they would do that, where it's like you've started in the middle of a sentence essentially.
Yeah. Well, I think I
mean, again, I understand that Batman's sort of ubiquitous and well known and all that, but even still, it's like you don't have to have him be like, just starting out like a young guy, but I don't get why they went with the sort of like veteran.
Well, I think
kinda
I
aspect.
think if they do go with that, it is because this is supposed to be kind of like a team movie, right? It's supposed to be like Guy Gardner, Kyle Rayner, Hal Jordan, and like
Common as John Jones or John Stewart. Sorry,
John Jones, Martian Manhunter,
John Bones Jones
Bones
as John
Jones.
Stewart.
Oh yeah,
I don't need this ring. I'll just fuck you up with my hands.
Yeah, but yeah, no, like and that's something I also look at, and I'm like, that's also a good idea to have Christopher McQuarrie as like one of the best elements of Rogue Nation was like. I really liked the team. Like I liked, seeing Simon Pegg and Tom Cruise interact with Rebecca Ferguson and what's his name, Jeremy Renner. He was in that, right? In Rogue Nation.
Yeah, no, but his part was relatively small, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, but I like the team element of those movies, and I think that it could play well into a Green Lantern Corps movie if that's the route they're going. I don't know.
It sounds like they're trying to do a team up at some point, but yeah, I would really like there to be some developments on this along the line. I would really like to, because on paper that sounds great.
Oh yeah, I'd love to. I mean, I love Jon Stewart. He's one of just the dopest Green Lanterns, just because of my connection to him on the show. Voiced by Phil LaMarr. So perfect. But I would love to see him and fighting alongside Kyle Rayner and Guy Gardner and was Alan Scott? Was he the first?
Alan Scott was the first one, and his costume's real goofy. It's
he's got a red cape or whatever.
No, he's got a red shirt, purple cape, and then I think the green pants.
And he's got that mask, that black eye mask.
And it's just like, that guy is called Green Lantern.
Yeah.
Okay, that makes sense. He's wearing like almost no green, but fine.
Sure. I mean, it was early. It was early in the comics age, so whatever. What have you.
Yeah, I guess that's the excuse. It was the golden age. Things didn't have to make any sense at all.
No. Didn't they also retcon recently that he's gay also?
I think so.
Yeah, and that, I guess they can include that too in the film, get the whole inclusion thing going, which is good.
Right.
But mostly I want to see some big green battles. I want to see some big green fists and bats and
laser beams and dragons or whatever.
Yeah.
Like, that's what I love the best is when they'll like do something like real weird, like, we need this to be cut in half really quick. It's okay, I'll just make big green like garden shears or whatever.
Yeah. I think that could be cool, and it'd be neat to see like, how each Green Lantern's personality differs by what tools they use or whatever.
Yeah.
But I'm excited for this, and if Christopher McQuarrie's on board to direct and or write it, I'm super excited for it.
Neato, gang. Neato. Moving along, Robert, have you heard of this movie coming out called Death Kiss?
Is this a Charles Bronson movie?
No, believe it or not, it just wrapped filming, and it has this guy in it who, I kid you not, looks pretty much exactly like him.
Yeah.
It's kind of creepy.
Even down to the hair and mustache.
Yeah.
It's spitting image Bronson.
Yeah, and you had some info on him, on the actor?
Yes, his name is Robert Bronzy, his nickname, Kovacs. And he is I believe he's Polish, and he's just a professional impersonator.
And didn't you say he was from this like professional impersonator company?
Yeah, he's from a professional impersonator company that has a bunch of people similar to him that impersonate people like Samuel L. Jackson and, of course, Donald Trump and like Simon Cowell and Steve McQueen. But yeah, it seems as though these filmmakers found him and they wanted to make a little homage to a certain movie that Charles Bronson starred in back in the day.
Death Wish.
Oh, yes. And this movie looks...
But this time, it's called Death Kiss instead.
And it looks very, very wacky. It looks like a very wacky movie.
I think it looks pretty interesting. Well, since you said very wacky, you know who else is in this?
Who else?
Stormy Maya, who, of course, is in another movie that we talked about recently.
She's in Wishing Forest, am I right?
That's correct.
Yeah.
So that's how you know this is going to be a terrible but kind of entertaining and fun movie at the same time, possibly.
Hey, I mean, Daniel Baldwin gave it away for me. As soon as I saw any Baldwin other than Alec, I was like, oh boy.
Whoa, what? A Baldwin is in this?
Yes.
Oh, man.
Oh yeah, and
so we've got a guy who looks exactly like Bronson.
Mm-hmm.
You got Stormy Maya, and you got a Baldwin.
Need I say more?
You know what? Sign me up. I'm ready to watch.
This is definitely going to be. It's going to be bad. Like, let's not. But it's going to be great bad.
But it's going to be fun bad.
Oh yeah.
All right. So moving along to our next story, slightly old news. I was looking over Richard Linklater's IMDb, and apparently a month ago he started filming on a mystery movie set in 1969 Houston.
Yeah, and I guess it's set during the backdrop of the. What is it? The moon landing?
That's what. Yeah, you were telling me something about that.
Yeah.
It's a coming of age movie, correct?
Yes, it seems as though that's the case, and he's no stranger to that. Obviously, with Dazed and Confused and Boyhood being in his catalog of films. I mean, it's Richard Linklater, so I'm gonna see it. I mean, it's the case, and he does really well with period films.
Well, I was gonna say what he seems to be a master of is depicting the latter half of the 20th century.
Oh yeah,
and that's again. Like, Boyhood takes place in the 80s, right?
I think, yeah, it's like, at the very least, like, late 80s, early 90s till
okay,
now.
Yeah, but there's... Well, because they made it with the kid actually aging, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so there's that, but also, two movies that obviously come to mind for me are Dazed and Confused and Everybody Wants Some.
Right.
And those are both really good at, like, capturing the time, a moment and place and time and that kind of thing, so... I'm excited to see him do that with the late 60s.
Same here. Was there any notes on casting at all?
Not that I've heard of yet.
Okay, because I know he also has another film coming out called Where'd You Go, Bernadette, starring Cate Blanchett.
That's one I'm looking forward to as well.
Same here. So he's definitely got a lot lined up, and he's been keeping pretty busy. He had a couple movies come out over the past couple of years. I mean, obviously, you mentioned Everybody Wants Some, but he had another movie that came out called Last Flag Flying, which is, ironically enough, a sequel to Five Easy Pieces. What's the one with Nicholson and The Last Detail? That's what it's called.
Last Detail, okay.
The Last Detail, yeah. And I never saw it, but I heard great things about it.
That was with Bryan Cranston, right?
Yeah, Bryan Cranston.
I thought that looked pretty good.
Mm-hmm. But
it wasn't about the 70s or 80s, so I wasn't sure.
No, it was about post like 9/11, which is like super not as fun as the 80s or 70s.
No, not at all.
But yeah,
it looks
he's
good.
keeping busy, and I like that he's keeping, giving himself work and keeping at it, and I'm excited for it.
Have you seen what's called Bernie?
I have not.
It's really good. That was another one he did relatively recently, if I'm not mistaken.
I know a lot about it, but I just have yet to see it. Is that also a period piece?
Sort of, because it's about... I mean, again, it's not...
about the guy.
Yeah, it's about a real-life murder, and it's sort of weird, because it's, like, gloomy, but it's also sort of funny.
Mm-hmm.
Not because of what happens, but, like, the setting and the people. The casting's excellent.
Kind of in a similar way where it's like Fargo is funny, where it's like just not necessarily what's going on is funny, but like the people involved and like the way they speak about what's going on is very funny.
Yeah, I would say that's what kind of made it a unique movie.
Okay.
So, Robert, I saw a little feature film the other day.
Is that right? What was that?
I saw Strangers Pray at Night.
Oh, yes. Sequel, of course, to the original Strangers film. How did it end up shaping up?
That was pretty good. I don't think it'll make much at the box office.
Okay.
Because I was there. It was 15 minutes to showtime, and I was the only person in the theater. And then people sort of sprinkled in during the trailers. So that means of the 5 people who showed up to this movie, only one person cared enough to be on time and be like, I gotta make sure I'm here on time and all that. Want to beat the line.
And that was you.
Yes.
I see. But... yeah, I'd imagine it probably wouldn't make a lot of money this weekend either. March is kind of a weird time for horror. I just feel like it's kind of also dumb time to release horror.
Yeah, I guess you're right. It seems a little off. It's like fall seems to be the more traditional time, what with Halloween, obviously. But I don't know. I'm not sure this would have made a lot anyway.
Yeah, especially in the wake of Black Panther. It's just...
Well, yeah, it's just like everything's just cannon fodder right now. It's just like, try us.
Good luck.
Yeah.
But I guess, what were your thoughts about the movie overall? You said you ended up liking it?
I ended up liking it, but I'll say this. It had a few problems, and I feel like a number of critics have sort of been pointing those out. But I didn't think they were so bad to the point where it's like, this is the worst movie ever. Like, it was fine. And a lot of the complaints, it's like, well, that's kind of commonplace in horror movies.
Right.
Like, you can't always have a Laurie Strode or a Catherine Hicks in Child's Play where you just have a pretty good actor doing a good performance with a character you actually care about. I know that sounds like to say that in normal movies is kind of ridiculous, but really horror characters aren't always that important for it to be like at least semi-enjoyable.
I feel that.
Like, can you name me any of the counselors in any of the Friday 13th other than like the first one?
Jason's in it. But no.
But that's kind of the point. It's
Exactly.
it's really more about the villains.
Yeah.
And I thought the villains in this were fine. I thought they were really creepy. And I honestly liked the way they played with the whole like team aspect of it.
Right.
Because there's more than one killer. And it's not like other movies where it's like you think there's one but there's multiple, to throw you off for like a whodunit thing.
Right.
This is more like, yeah, they're working together because they're just a psycho family or whatever.
Yeah.
But you don't really know what their deal is. And
That's what makes it scary, I'd imagine.
Yes, and that's one thing I was reading the director, he was talking about. He's like, after a while with Halloween, the way they just kind of kept digging, and we discussed this with, Michael Myers being a druid,
Yeah.
whatever, like son of the whore of Babylon,
Right.
like, and then lightning struck, or like whatever,
Yeah.
like something weird like that. He said that kind of ruins the fun. And I don't entirely agree with him, but I see what he's saying. When you dig too deep, it takes away from the mystery.
Right.
And this, like, there's actually one point, I won't spoil it, but one of the characters kind of has a chance to hear why, and the killers are just like, they just don't tell him. And I thought that's way creepier. And yes, the characters are pretty awful, but what people are forgetting, the fun part about horror movies, you're like, man, this character sucks. And then it's like, okay, then they just like get killed, and it's like, oh, whatever. Like, they're sort of like, horror characters are expendable. Like, obviously it's better for them to be good, but it's not a necessity. Also, I just want to say that the setting worked really well. The cinematography was good. It was competently shot and all that. And I would say another complaint I was hearing was about logic problems. But then again, this is just one of those things. It's kind of unique to horror movies. If everyone was like a member of Mensa, it'd be kind of a boring movie. It's like, just imagine like they're all like a group of like Mensa people are snowed in somewhere, and there's a killer in there. It's like, all right, so we're all going to stay together, and I'm going to make this triphosphate flux capacitor, and it is going to teleport us all out of here. Oh, by the way, I also made a bomb out of a bag of chips and a microwave.
Yes, it seems as though also that he's attacking us with a kitchen knife, which might clue into the fact that he has a bad relationship with his mother. So we're going to stage an intervention here.
yeah, it's just like, that's like, part of the fun is like, come on, like, everyone knows the old cliche. Like, no, don't go upstairs. Why are you doing that?
I get that. That's part of the fun.
Yeah, it's part of the fun. And, okay, there's a couple times where I'll agree where it's like, come on now. Like, without giving away too much, well, fuck it. I'll just, spoilers.
If you care.
Which I don't think anyone does, based on the box office. There's a part where one of the killers, like, corners the mom character and the daughter. And she's, like, a teenager, so she's not, like, an infant or anything. Corners both of them with a knife. I'm like, okay. Like, there's two of you. You should probably, like, figure out something, like, throw shit at her, or, like, one of you, like, or maybe, like, I thought the mom would be like, no, I got this. And then, like, the daughter comes in, it's like, all right, we disarmed her and we kicked her ass. It's like, wow, that was really dumb of her. Like, I'll agree that doesn't get the it's a horror movie pass.
Yeah.
When it's like, you've established that these killers are normal human beings, like not monsters or like super strong. Like, when you've established that, there should really be no reason that two people wouldn't be able to handle one of them.
Yeah.
So I'll agree, like, that was really dumb. And yes, some of the dialogue at the beginning was like, I'll say it was even too cringy for horror at times.
Okay.
But for the most part, once, like, again, it's like most horror movies. Like, once you get past the blah blah and you get to the part where, like, they all have to go into survival mode, it gets a lot more interesting. It's fine.
Okay.
And I like the lake house setting. Or, not lake house, sorry. It was like an RV, like, campsite kind of place.
Okay.
And I thought it was really creepy location because, like, that's, like, rural-ish locations or just, like, you know, woods. Mm-hmm. It's just, like, a scary place.
Oh, yeah.
And I think this movie kind of feeds on that idea. It's like, well, what if this did happen? And I've, like, thought about that kind of scary, creepy stuff, like, while I'm there. It's like, man, I really hope, like, Jason isn't, like, lurking about.
Yeah.
Because, like, the nearest police station is, like, a deputy dog one, and it's, like, 5 miles away. So, overall, I thought it was fine. And, yeah, I mean, there's a couple parts where the pacing's a bit boring. But once it gets to the, like, the shit hits the fan, it's, like, it's your pretty standard, decent slasher.
Yeah, that was actually going to be my question is, like, how does it, in your eyes, like, how does it compare to both the original Strangers movie and other horror movies today?
It's been a while since I've seen the original Strangers, but I'm pretty sure I like the first one better. I think it was a little more contained. Well, the other thing is, while this is also very short, it's like 85
minutes.
Yeah, it's not a long movie at all, like the first one. But I think the first one did a much better job of getting to the point faster. Since it is a short movie, it's like you don't need so much character development. And that's one of the issues I guess I had. It's not that the character development was crappy or whatever. It's like, I don't care if it's good or bad. It's a horror movie. As long as it's like enough to work with. Mm-hmm. Because this was sort of what I'd call like the sitcom nuclear family. Mm-hmm. Except different in some. Well, you had like, hey, I'm the dumb like dad who used to be a jock, or like you kind of like he just looks like a guy from like a Just for Men commercial. Like, hey, I'm younger looking than you think or like I may look young, but I'm older than you think. And then the mom who's just all like, oh, you kids. And then the brother is just like. The brother was, like, a little weird. It's like they're going to drop the daughter off to boarding school. It's like the start. That's why they're going. They're, like, stopping by the lake house place as, like, a pit stop, just as a little family thing before they drop her off at boarding school. And it's because they know, like, the kids, like, aunt and uncle own the place. Mm-hmm. So the weird part I thought was when they're picking up the son, they're like, come on, we gotta go. They're picking him up at a baseball diamond, like in Sandlot style. And he's like 17. I'm not saying that's not possible. I just thought it was like a little weird. It's like, I want to play baseball with my friends.
And it's contemporary, right? It takes place in present day.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's like the one thing that kind of stuck out about the writing is it was like times are different.
Yeah.
It's like, like picking him up at the picture show after he's playing some stickball, see?
Yeah.
Like, but again, those were kind of cheesy things that I found almost endearing because it's like, at least this is stupid, but it's entertaining. Mm-hmm. It's like, I'm not like, how dare they? How dare they say that this kid would play baseball? I'm offended. This is a bad movie. I hate it. Like, I was kind of cheering for the rest of it to be just as awful. Mm-hmm. But then the horror turned out to be pretty good for the most part.
Okay. How was the, I guess you said some of the characters are bad, but how are the performances?
They start off kind of bad when they're like, we're a family. You know, that kind of like what I call the nuclear sitcom family.
Yeah.
Like the kind of family to be like, hold on, gang, team meeting. Like, I feel like that needs to be a sitcom. It's called Team Meeting, and it's just about a bunch of cliched, annoying characters, and the dad always calls for a team meeting.
Yeah.
But anyway, sorry, that's a little tangent. But anyway, so Team Meeting family, their acting starts off kind of not great. But then once, like, shit hits the fan and people are getting killed, it's like they go into survival mode and, like, their acting's, like, it's not amazing, but it's, like, fine. It's like, it works. It's like, I get it. They're scared. There's a horror movie. I get what's going on now.
Right.
Like, there's not a lot of, like, moving pieces or, like, nuanced performances.
Yeah.
It's fine.
And finally, how were the deaths?
I thought they were pretty good, except the first one sort of sucked. Because it's one of those ones where it's like, it's only implied, but there's no real chase or anything. It's just like, oh, there's the mask. Oh, there's the killer. And that's like, dun, dun, dun. And then they cut to like, blah, blah, blah. Here's the family. Doop, da, doop, da, doop. And that's like, I wonder where they're going. And I wonder what they're going to discover. So it's like, yeah, there's some like predictability, but it's like, whatever. Like, again, predictability is kind of part of movies anyway, especially horror.
Yeah.
Now, I'm not saying that with horror movies, oh, you don't need characters like anything at all. I'm just saying they don't have to be like Shakespearean level sort of like, what's the word?
Development.
Yeah, there doesn't have to be like that much like development or like backstory or whatever. It's like you had enough. Mm-hmm. Like you had the one girl. Oh yeah, that's the art thing. So nuclear sitcom family. So the son's all like, I'm a smartass and I'm playing baseball with the guys. And the daughter's like, I'm in trouble. And she literally has a Ramones shirt on. I'm like, wow. It's like I feel like the costumer or like the producer, like, all right, so she's gonna be one of those rebellious people. They're like, they just like Googled like rebellion, and they're like, punk rock? What's this? Punk rock music. Okay, what's a punk rock band? Oh, the Ramones. Like, I mean, again, I'm having fun, like, picking this apart, like, a little bit. Like, it's not like I was, like, bored to death. Mm-hmm. But, yeah, so it was fine. Wait, what were you just asking about the...
Oh, the deaths.
Oh, the deaths, sorry. Got a little off topic. The deaths were fine, aside from the first one.
Okay.
And I think, like there's not, like, a lot to say about it. Like, they weren't overly gory, because you know how, like, the main argument with, like, horror movie deaths is, like, you want to show enough, but not, like, too much. Because there's that, like, gore versus implied. Right. I thought they balanced it pretty well.
Okay.
There's, like, a couple scenes where they, like, either they overdid the implied, I would say, at the beginning. Mm-hmm. And then there's one part where it's, I would say, overly gory, but it kind of worked. It's like the son is being chased.
Okay.
By one of the killers, but he turns around like real quick and like hits her with a golf club, and then he just like stabs her a bunch of times. It's like, holy shit, that was like crazy and brutal and intense. But it kind of worked because it's like, wow, this is what happens when a dude's like, when anyone's pushed into survival mode. And I thought that was like scary in a different way. It was like unsettling. And then the dad's death was pretty creepy. Actually, I thought that was pretty well done, because they're trying to leave and then something is thrown at their windshield and the dad crashes the car, but he's like slightly impaled by this thing, but it's implied that it's not like all the way through him, but he's pinned down and he can't move. And then you see the killer just slowly get into the car next to him. You're like, oh no. You know what I mean? You're like, shit, this isn't going to end well. So, like, they're fine. Were they the best? No, they didn't, like, reinvent the wheel. And I'm sorry if they didn't turn into motorcycles in their dreams, like in, what was it, Nightmare on Elm Street 4 or 5. Yeah. Or, like, smash people into the TV. It's just, like, they were as creative as they needed to be.
Were there many jump scares?
Not really. And again, I'm not an anti-jump scare people. And first of all, they're called dunts.
Yeah.
Not jump scares. Hey,
yes.
I don't like that phrase. They're called dunts. And when they're done well, it's like, I think of it like it's like choreography to a fight scene. It's just like the moves and the rhythm just have to work.
Mm-hmm.
And there weren't a ton of them, but they were used appropriately when necessary.
Mm-hmm. Well, that's good. I'm glad. It's I was hearing bad things about it, but it sounds like if you're a horror fan, you probably will at least end up enjoying it.
Well, it depends on what kind of horror. If you like the more modern stuff, like maybe you won't like it. But I'm more of a slasher fan when it comes to horror.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought this was fine. It was nothing to write home about. Maybe it's not something to run to the theaters for, but if you're like jonesing for a horror movie, give it a shot. So I'd give it a 3 out of 5.
Okay.
Or on your scale,
a 6.
A 6 out of 10.
Yes.
So again, that's like saying it's not amazing at all.
But not
like,
particularly awful.
No,
or bad.
Not at all.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it was perfectly watchable.
Well, that's good. I'm glad you enjoyed it then.
Yeah. So that's my review for Strangers Pray at Night.
All right, so our next topic is going to be a discussion of the month of April in film. And it's not as stacked as we said March was, but there are a couple movies in here that should hopefully be some heavy hitters.
Indeed, there are some heavy hitters. And this month's releases will go down the line, actually. Starting with, I think this is a chance. I wouldn't say it's as heavy a hitter as the other ones on this list, but there's a movie coming out, Blockers.
Yes, that's the one where John Cena butt chugs some IPA, isn't it?
Yep.
Yes. I saw the trailer for that again. I've seen it a couple times, but I saw it again in front of game night.
Oh, yeah?
And I've got some hope for it.
Right. It's like, I think it looks good, but I could see how it looks like it could be one of those comedies where the best parts are all in the trailer.
Yes, but
I'm a little worried about that.
I also thought game night was going to be that, and it ended up not being it.
Right. There was only one real scene that was ruined in game night. Spoilers! It's the part where he gets sucked into the engine, right?
Yeah, that, and I would just say, like, there's like a lot of, like, funny little lines in game night that aren't revealed in the trailer, like, that are kind of, you can't really say them in the trailer. Like, they're not too cuss word filled, but,
The best one was, when he's like, and the winner gets the keys to the car. Why would you just get the keys? That was my favorite line. But yeah, anyway, back to Blockers.
Yeah, I like, it's rated R, right?
Yeah.
I like the cast. I mean, I love Ike Barinholtz.
Yeah.
Dude is freaking hilarious. And I don't mind John Cena as a comedic force.
I think he's pretty great as a comedic actor.
Oh yeah, he's really, and even just coming up as an actor in general. I mean, I mean he's not, it's not Daniel Day-Lewis, but I enjoy Me the Marine. It's a pretty funny, like funny bad, but watchable movie. And Leslie Mann is
passable. She's fine.
She's fine. So I'm excited to see where this movie goes. I'm excited. I'm always up for a good comedy, like a good regular comedy that's not dark.
That's kind of the
weirdness.
thing. Yeah, see, that's like, I kind of like how the premise is pretty simple. It's kind of like the anti-American Pie, because it's about like the girls.
It's the other side of the.
Yeah, it's like the girls make this like virginity pact, or to lose it on prom night, and the parents are all doing their best to block that from happening. Hence Blockers.
It is a little bit like, I already know what the arc's going to be, and I can already pretty much forecast how the movie's going to end. It's going to be like, throughout this journey, they're going to be like, what are we doing? We got to learn to trust our kids. And then at the end of the movie, the kids are going to be like, no, we should have learned to wait, and we should, be more responsible before we give up our virginity or whatever. And be like, thanks, parents. And that's going to be the end of the movie, of course.
Yeah, thanks, daughters. Thanks, parents. Yeah, I mean, that seems likely and imminent, but I mean, that's also because we've watched a lot of movies.
We've been conditioned, yeah.
Yeah. But I think it looks pretty funny. So, again, like game night, I'm hoping that this will help continue the momentum of the more or less regular comedy movies.
Same here.
Right. Then what do we got next?
Next, we have a kind of a little-known movie that's coming out from Heavy Hitters A24.
Oh, is this what I think it is?
This is A Prayer Before Dawn.
Yes.
Which is the Muay Thai movie about, I think he's a British individual
He's a British boxer, and he gets caught. He gets like framed for having a bunch of drugs in his room, and
he gets put in a prison in, is it the Philippines?
No, it's in
Indonesia?
Thailand.
Oh, Thailand, right.
It's filmed,
of course.
It's filmed on location
in the actual prison.
In an actual Thai prison.
And using like actual prisoners as extras.
Yeah, so what the plot is it's sort of in the ilk of sort of the pulpier martial arts movies. So he's, in order to win his freedom, to, get out of his sentence, he has to compete and win in this Muay Thai tournament. And I cannot tell you how excited I am for this movie. I watched, what was it? You texted me one day and you're like, dude, I found like your perfect movie.
Yeah, I'm like, A24 is making a Muay Thai movie. And you're like, what?
Yeah. So I was like, okay, I gotta see this trailer. I watched about 20 seconds of it. And it's what I think we've mentioned this before. It's what we call a shut up and take my money trailer.
Yeah.
Because I was like, I don't want to know anything more. I'm so on board with what I saw that I'm ready to just jump into this. Because I thought, okay, we've got A24, a company that I like and has a good track record. It's about Muay Thai, which interests me. The cinematography looks amazing. The acting looks like it's sharp. And then
fighting looks good.
Yeah, the fighting and the training sequences that I saw little clippets of, like, it looks like all the elements are there for this to work. And I'm pretty excited for this, and it's almost a shame more people don't know about this movie because it looks really good.
Yeah.
And it's not like something that, because I understand some smaller movies, it's like, it's not for everyone. But I feel like of all the people I know who enjoy action and martial arts movies and like prison, those sort of prison dramas, like this looks like it could be one of A24's more accessible movies for a larger audience.
I think that's a lot of A24's I don't want to say shtick, but I feel like that's their kind of mindset, is like they kind of find movies that are indie in approach and production, but they are kind of accessible. Like,
yeah,
a lot of movies like Moonlight did, it kind of did very well, and
kind of did very well, won Best Picture.
Well, I mean, like money wise, and like a lot of people saw
it,
and like a lot of people ended up talking about it, and like The Witch actually did fairly okay, and like a lot of other movies like Green Room, The Disaster Artist had made a big splash.
Yeah, they're up in that studio's onto good things, and
yeah,
I really hope that in a similar way, I guess, to Free Fire, but not, obviously this looks much less comedic.
Right.
I hope that they continue to also branch out to the action and thriller side of things.
Oh, yeah.
As well as, because it seems like what they've really been good at lately is like dramas and horror.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm glad to see them continue to branch out. And I'm very excited for this movie. In fact, I would say it's my second most anticipated movie of this year, behind only one, but we'll get to that in a second.
Yes. Well, we're getting to it right now because that movie is the next movie on the docket, and it's it's Avengers: Infinity War, which we've already talked about a little bit.
We've talked about, but we haven't talked about why the hype.
I mean, it's a movie 10 years in the making,
which is kind of amazing because it's like, who would have thought we'd care 10 years later?
Right.
And also, because I remember thinking this, oh man, Thanos! Like at the end of Avengers, like freaking out and being a total nerd about it. But then they're like, okay, here's the next Avengers movie. And then they announce it and they say,
Ultron.
Ultron! And I'm
like,
thinking, come on.
Yeah.
And again, I liked the second one.
Me
I thought
too.
the first one was
Clearly better.
Yeah. But it was kind of, I felt like sort of cheated almost. It's like, come on, just get to Thanos.
Yeah.
And I kept saying that, and I've said it like, are they going to do it this time? And I thought, well, Guardians, now they're just going to have him in it.
Yeah.
And he was kind of in it. But now, finally, after waiting this long, like,
this is what we've been leading to. This is what all the Infinity Stones are about. This is what it's all about. Everyone's going to be in this.
Who would have thought we'd make it this far?
Yeah, it's, oh, man. Yeah, I mean,
this is
the trailers look great. It's kind of hard to nitpick at this point. It's like,
well, as you know, similar to A Prayer Before Dawn, I've not seen the trailers.
Oh yes,
and the reason I can say that is, at this point, why should I watch the trailer? When I know I'm going to be interested in seeing it,
right.
And people are going to ruin basically a third of the trailer via GIFs posted in comment section anyway, like the Bring Him a Shield one.
I feel like that's also a healthy way to approach the movie in general, because I feel like so many movies nowadays are compared to the trailers that came out for them.
Right.
You know? I mean, it's just the nature of the beast now. You know, movies like Justice League and Batman v Superman will be like, that part wasn't in the trailer. What happened to this part in the trailer? It's not in the movie. It's like, it's just, we can't even discuss movies nowadays without talking about the press materials that people are given.
And it's like, it's kind of crazy is how the game has changed, where it's commonplace and expected to have so much basically of the plot and the character details and all that stuff spoon-fed to you.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying...
early, too, before the movie's even out.
Right, and I know we talk about things before they're out all the time, but I don't want to know everything. I want some mystery to be left. And, for instance, Age of Ultron's actually a pretty good example. I avoided the trailers, except for the first teaser, which didn't show too much. And I don't think... It didn't seem like a lot of people like hated it, but like some people felt relatively let down. And I was only moderately, let down, I guess, because I still enjoyed it. But I felt like part of the reason I was able to enjoy it a little bit more was because I didn't have anything to go off of, or rather very little to go off of on the teaser. And another example is Ant-Man. Not knowing Falcon was going to be in it made that so much more exciting when he shows up. Spoilers, but not really, because everyone's probably seen it, I think.
It's super old. I mean,
yeah.
But the other thing that I take a lot of issue with are the TV spots. And one of my favorite Marvel films of all time, Captain America, The Winter Soldier, had a major plot element spoiled in the TV spots. And that is, I guess this is a spoiler if you haven't seen it, that Nick Fury, quote-unquote, dies. And I remember hearing that and just being livid, like, no, like, why would you tell me that? Because now I'm already thinking things like, okay, he's probably not dead, he's probably faking his death, they're probably bringing it back, they probably wouldn't have revealed that if it wasn't an early plot point, shit like that. It's like, I shouldn't be thinking stuff like that about movies I'm excited to see. And even though I ended up liking Winter Soldier, incredibly a lot, I think about, like, what would it have been like if I didn't know that was going to happen?
Right, and see, that's the thing, is the TV spots are the worst offenders. To circle back to what I just said about Falcon, that was in the TV spots. And it's just like, this is, like, that's why you know what I do when I'm watching TV and I see one of these spots. I literally change the channel.
Yeah, I mean...
Because it's just, like, I want to enjoy this movie, and the best way to do that is I can see a trailer or a teaser and maybe the first trailer.
You're probably all the better for it, though, with the rate some of these trailers are giving things away.
But that's the thing. They have such a track record of giving away huge moments.
Yeah, Avengers 1 trailer gave away the
Hulk catching Iron Man thing.
Hulk catching Iron Man moment.
To me, that is so ridiculous because, again, it's not like, I hate this movie because I know it's going to happen.
Right.
Like, storm out of the theater, like, time to riot.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it's like, come on. Why the hell do you have to do that? Because I was like watching, it's like, he's falling, and you're like, okay, if you really want to be annoying and nitpicky, it's like, well, he's gonna win because good guys win at the end. It's like, yes, I know that, but it's like in the moment,
keep me in suspense.
Yeah, keep me at least in suspense in the moment. Like, oh, okay, what's gonna happen next? Like, oh, I know, Hulk's gonna catch him.
Yeah. It's
like, to me, that's so unforgivable. And they do at least one of those each trailer. Like Rhodey in Civil War.
Getting shot down.
They're like, the trailer would have been fine if they left it the way, way it was.
That's a massive plot point, too. That's not like something that happens in the beginning. That's like the second act turning point in the movie. That's like right before they go to wherever that bunker.
That's the thing, is I really want to know, what are the people who are cutting these trailers? What is their excuse? Why does that have to be in there?
I don't know.
Like, imagine the trailer if the same Civil War trailer, cut out that and cut out the unedited, like, 20 seconds of the fight scene between Cap and Bucky and Iron Man. Or, like, shorten that last part down and get rid of Rhodey. Oh, no, yeah. Those two shots, they were worth $200 million. We were worth the box office, so we couldn't have cut that out.
Yeah. Honestly, it's just like I would have just shown, all the stuff that they had ended up showing, and then like the money shot of the trailer be that like what you call it, like the X-Men.
Oh, the X-Men collision.
Yeah, where they have each other on each side.
Yeah,
and they just collide, like one of those like giant both page panels in a comic book. I would have just ended it there.
Right, and it's like if that doesn't excite you, like then you probably just wouldn't like this movie to begin with. Yeah. It's like, I mean, that's fine if it's like this isn't a Jim Jarmusch movie. I don't like this at all.
Yeah.
It's not like you're gonna turn people like, well, maybe if we give away the plot, more people will be interested.
Yeah, it's like I think Marvel and Disney underestimate the following that they have in loading these trailers with so much content that we don't really need to see.
But maybe we're wrong though. Maybe that's like
maybe there's nothing revealed in these Avengers Infinity War trailers that we're seeing.
Well, I haven't seen it, so I wouldn't know.
Yeah,
I've seen. Okay,
I can't really tell.
The only shots I've seen the Get This Man a Shield thing, where he has the weird shield that T'Challa gives him. The Iron Spider, just because everyone won't
shut up about it.
Yeah, and it's like, thanks. I mean, I kind of knew that was coming, but whatever.
Well, it's at the end of Spider-Man.
And of course, the thumbnail of Cap et al.
Oh.
And the Wakandans.
Yeah.
All running away from whatever. Don't tell me what it is. I don't know what it is.
I don't think they're running away.
Know what it is.
I think they're charging towards something.
Well, shut up, man.
Well, I mean, it's
I don't care. No, they're slippery slope. This may seem like a small thing, but
spoilers. They fight Thanos. I'm sorry.
Oh, how dare you?
Yes.
Well, there you go. He just ruined the movie for me.
Pretty much.
He ruined the whole movie for me, ladies and gentlemen. I would have never guessed in a million years that they'd fight Thanos.
Yeah. I'm not gonna watch it now.
I'm not
gonna watch it.
I'm gonna boycott it.
No, I'm not gonna watch it.
I'm gonna boycott it and pick it.
Yeah,
because that's what matters right now.
Right,
boycotting movies.
Yeah,
but anyway.
That's that movie, man. It's the movie to beat this year. We said it before. It's the one that's going to be talked about this year, I think.
It's like this is really. It's just unprecedented. It's the most expensive TV show that's ever existed.
Yeah, it is. They got cliffhangers in everyone and every credit scene, and every credit scene has a sneak peek for the next episode.
Yeah, it's all interconnected.
Yeah, it's a big TV show. That's basically why there's a writer's room for it.
Yeah, and that's what I'm saying is it's like the director is not like the end all be all.
It's just like TV. It's like, who directed this episode? It's like, no one cares.
Yeah.
I mean, it's sad, but it's true. Like the TV industry is just like, it's not built on auteurism.
Well, I guess it's more of a writer TV. To me, it's more of a writer's
right. It's medium. Way more writer's medium and just writers like playground.
Yeah. Whereas with movies, it's producers.
Could be anything.
But I feel like it could be anything. You're right. Like there are Steven Spielberg auteur kind of guys, but all in the same. I feel like producers are the ones, especially with Marvel, kind of pulling the strings.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I mean, obviously, I don't know what more there is to say. It's going to be a big deal. I'm trying to curb my expectations just a little bit because I don't want to like overhype it.
So I have a weird question. I never even considered this, but have you ever seen Fanboys?
Parts of it on TV.
So have you seen the end where like they finally sit down to watch The Phantom Menace, and like the joke is they're like, "What if it sucks?"
Oh yeah.
So what if Avengers Infinity War sucks?
Like how bad? Like
I mean, like what if it's like Thor: The Dark World bad? Like it's like, oh, it's not great.
I really don't like that you're putting this in my head.
I'm just saying, like, what would be the protocol besides burning things to the ground, burning all the Avengers Infinity War standees to the ground,
and chanting, how disappointed we are.
Yeah.
Well, I guess there's still a prayer before dawn.
There's still a prayer before dawn, and still Aquaman coming out this December or whatever.
Also, like Black Panther was so good, so it's like. So if this is not as good, it's like, well, we still have a chance to go 2 out of 3.
Yeah, and we get a little good Ant-Man and the Wasp like consolation prize at the end of the year.
I don't think that'll be. I think at worst, this will be as good as Age of Ultron. Yeah, because I just couldn't imagine it. Well, also you got the Russos.
Yeah, they've yet to fail in Marvel. They have failed with Yumi and Dupree, but that's neither here nor there.
But yeah, I feel like they understand how to work in the system with Disney and Marvel. So
excited.
Yeah, I would say what will happen if it's less than expected. Well, people are gonna say it's pretty good. Mm-hmm. But that's the thing is like even when Marvel like I didn't really like I rewatched it recently actually. Mm-hmm. Guardians of the Galaxy 2. Like I thought that's my least favorite Marvel movie.
Really?
Yeah.
Even over Thor: The Dark World?
Honestly, yeah, because I thought Thor: Dark World had better action. Like that's a huge part of why I see these. So yes, I'm willing to say that.
Yeah.
Not by much, because like it's like that's like I would say the second weakest.
Okay.
But again, it's just like that movie got really good reviews and all that. Mm-hmm. So I feel like the hype is unstoppable no matter what.
But I definitely do agree with you in saying that like the Russos make crowd pleasers, and like both, like the latter two Cap movies, those are both stellar.
They've basically made my number one 1 and 3 spot on top Marvel movies.
I mean, it's weird because like I was talking about this with a friend the other day about Civil War. It's like Civil War was kind of what Age of Ultron was trying to do. It's like it made this great. First of all, it put all these team members together in a way that made sense, in a way that wasn't forced. Ultron felt a little bit forced, and the villain was better. You know, Ultron just kind of felt like a stepping stone, whereas Zemo actually had baggage, or he had clout and collateral over other people that were important to the Avengers. So that movie for me is just, it's an incredible film, and I think that I have confidence in them as directors. And is it Marcus and McFeely are the writers?
Yeah, see, and they've been writing, if I'm not mistaken, I think they've written all the Captain America movies.
Really? They wrote the first?
Yeah, and again, I know that that's not like everyone's favorite or in the top spot, but that's I know I'm going out on a limb here. I liked it maybe a little bit better than Iron Man. But again, I'll admit I'm biased just because I like Captain America, so there is that. I'll admit that.
Yeah. But yes, Christopher Marcus and Stephen McFeely, they have a pretty great grasp of this world, and I trust them. I trust the Russos too.
Okay, I'll say this. You know, I think is more likely. I don't think it'll be bad or like, what if it sucks? I think because there's so much anticipation, it's like the 10 years, everyone's expecting so much. Mm-hmm. I feel like some people will be like, that was good, but that's it.
Mm-hmm. I feel like there will also be, if it is disappointing, the disappointment might be dampened by the fact that we are getting another one of these next year.
That's an excellent point.
You know, because I feel like a lot of the reason why Age of Ultron was so disappointing was like, we waited, when did it come out, 2014? Or 2015? We waited 3 years for this? And like, we gotta wait another 4 years or whatever for the next one, or 3 years? And it's like, I get why people would be pissed. But like, this one is like, well, there's the other one coming out next year, so that one will be a bit better or whatever.
That's another good point. So I think,
I don't know. I think there's not as much at stake with this, maybe.
I think it's safe to say it'll be good.
Yeah.
I mean, you've seen the trailer, right?
Oh, yeah.
Based on what you've seen, compared to the Black Panther trailer.
Ooh.
I'm just saying, like, your thought, like, because the Black Panther trailer, I thought, like, this looks, like, the way I saw that trailer, I'm like, this looks pretty good.
Yeah.
This looks like there's a very small chance of it being bad, and it was pretty damn good.
Yeah, for me, that was the same with... See, Black Panther's trailer was, like, better for different reasons. For me, it was like, oh, what's this? So that's what Wakanda looks like.
Oh,
or like,
yeah,
so that's what, Michael B. Jordan's character is going to look like. This was just like, holy shit, that's Star-Lord with Thor, and that's, what's her name?
Yeah,
Denai Guerrera's character from Black Panther, Okoye standing next to Captain America, and all that stuff. And that's Spidey fighting against Iron Man again, and with, Cap. What?
You just...
Well, I mean, Spider-Man's in it. I'm not going to say how, but there's stuff in it.
God damn it. You just said you're just like, okay, there's stuff I'd seen from... You just told me he's fighting Iron Man.
Well, no, not fighting Iron Man, fighting with him. Like,
oh, okay, fine.
Okay.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Like,
I was gonna be like,
there's all these heroes, like...
I was going to say, that sounds like something for someone like me who's psychotic about not knowing the spoilers.
No, God.
Okay.
But, like, it doesn't really give a lot away. It's just like, here's all these characters you care about at once. And I'm like, yeah. Okay. Like, I'm there. I'm already there.
All right. Since it seems like you're on the verge of spilling the beans.
Yes. I'm busting at the seams here.
Yeah, okay. But I think it's safe to say that's obviously the number one anticipated movie.
Of April and of the year.
April and of the year. And I feel like everyone else who has a podcast or is a reviewer or whatever is probably talking about this ad nauseum. So we're sorry if we've just said a bunch of redundant bullshit.
We're really blazing our own trail here at the Bonus Features podcast.
Okay, I'm gonna sandwich that with, but we brought up A Prayer Before Dawn. Who's talking about that?
Sadly, not pretty much nobody.
Yeah, you know what? Everyone, yeah. I'm gonna end this by, bringing it back. A Prayer Before Dawn. Check out the trailer.
It looks great.
All right, so that's our April discussion.
All right, our next segment is actually a game. I'm going to play a little bit of True or False here, so without further ado, Alex, give me some movie trivia here. Tease my brain.
Okay, True or False? Originally, famous B-Picture film studio, Canon Film Group, was going to be the ones to make the Spider-Man film with Sam Raimi instead of Columbia and Sony.
That sounds legit. Is it true?
False. Sam Raimi did make it with Columbia and Sony, and Canon Film Group did have the rights at one point, but they reverted back to Marvel. Sam Raimi was never involved, though.
So it was a tricky one.
I tricked you, but yes.
Well, here's one. Catherine Bigelow, famous director of The Hurt Locker and Zero Dark 30, has directed a horror movie. True or false?
I'm going to say true.
It is true. She directed I think it's a 1987 movie called Near Dark. It is a vampire western.
Oh, I've heard of that. I've seen part of that on TV. I had no idea that was her.
Yeah, it's definitely it follows in the footsteps of like the Lost Boys and like all those like 80s vampire
I remember watching that a while ago.
But it is true. She did direct it, and the score, by the way, for the movie was done by Tangerine Dream.
Okay, great. Who the hell is that?
They did the score for Risky Business.
Oh, okay, cool.
And Thief, which is a good movie.
Great. Moving on. True or false? Nick Nolte was originally in the running to be Han Solo.
Oh, that one I know. That one is, that's true. That is a true fact.
Yep. Wait, okay. So, do you know that because of the same reason I do?
Yes, it's because, is it the Patton Oswalt?
Yes.
God, Chewbacca.
Hail Chewbacca, that's not a hyperdrive. Jeez, God.
Yeah. So, that's true. You're right, that is true. He was amongst a number of others, and I think that included Kurt Russell, Sylvester Stallone, and Christopher Walken, and Al Pacino.
Jesus.
Yeah, those all would have been radically different takes.
It's quite a short list.
Yep.
All right. So my next one is true or false. Christopher Guest has a small role in Death Wish.
This sounds like... I'm going to go with false.
It is actually very true.
Really? Where?
So Christopher Guest appears in the original Death Wish right at the end. He plays like a doe-eyed, like, rookie cop on the beat.
Oh, okay.
And you can clearly tell it's him because he's got the Christopher Guest chin and all that. Also some interesting other small bit roles in there. Olympia Dukakis is in there, as well as Jeff Goldblum.
Oh, Jeff Goldblum, I know. He plays one of the punk asses.
Yeah, he plays one of the
headband-wearing punk asses.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
His role is defined by IMDb as Freak Number 1. That is Jeff Goldblum's role.
Right. Okay, so my next one. Here we go. Originally, screenwriter Daniel Waters wanted his script for Heathers to be directed by Stanley Kubrick.
I'm going to say true.
Yeah, that's true.
Huh.
Apparently, the reasoning for that is not only did he really like Kubrick as a director, but he was quoted saying that he was the only guy who he felt could direct this and get away with making a 3-hour movie.
Oh, boy. So that means this original draft of Heathers is probably pretty hefty in length, am I right, or no?
I mean, it would seem that way. I don't know. Kubrick seems like the kind of guy, he's like, well, what if we made this scene take an hour long?
Yeah.
Like, that wouldn't surprise me.
Yeah. All right. So the next tidbit here, true or false? James Woods was once in talks to play the Joker in 1989's Batman.
I'm going to say true.
That is false.
God damn it.
I made that shit up.
Yeah. You got me.
Nothing further behind that.
Well, it's because I thought, so you had me with the Christopher Guest thing. I'm like, this is so obviously like a trick to make me think it's true because it's so specific. Mm-hmm. Whatever. All right. Fine. Two can play at that game.
Okay, here we go.
Initially, Walter Hill passed on the Warriors because he thought it'd be too weird.
False?
True. He said to his producer, he said, I really like this script and I think it'd be cool, but I think people would think it's too weird.
Well, he's wrong. It's a great movie.
Well, obviously, he directed it.
Yes. But
well, I sure showed me.
Yeah. I sure showed myself. True or false? Christian Bale's a big Chris Farley fan, and in fact, Beverly Hills Ninja is one of his favorite movies of all time.
I'm going to go false.
It's true.
No way.
Christian Bale is a massive Chris Farley fan, and in fact...
Beverly Hills Ninja,
he has gone on the record in saying that's, quote, one of his top faves.
You know what? I've just gained even more respect for him. How can one man be so cool? He's Patrick Bateman, and his favorite movie is Beverly Hills Ninja.
Yeah.
You learn something new every day.
Oh, hell yeah.
Okay, I got one for you. Kickboxer and Bloodsport actually came from the same spec script entitled Deathmatch.
True?
False.
Really?
I know that's super hard to believe because
bit.
They are almost the exact same movie, but they were actually, believe it or not, written by different people.
Wow.
Kickboxer was written by, story by Mark DeSalle, and Jean-Claude helped out, apparently, on the script.
Nice.
And then Bloodsport was by Christopher Cosby, Mel Friedman, and Sheldon Leitch. Sheldon Lettich.
Okay.
You know how I feel about those two movies. They're both timeless classics that should have swept at the Oscars. But, like, they are pretty much... They're almost the exact same movie.
Yeah.
And then on top of the fact that they both star Jean-Claude.
Oh, yeah. Well, hey. Fooled me.
What you got? You got one more?
I do. True or false? Rashid Davis was almost cast as B.A. Baracus in The A-Team starring Liam Neeson.
That is so false.
That's false.
Yeah. Are you kidding me?
I just wanted to throw Rashid a little shout out.
All right, yeah. Shout out to Rashid Davis.
Did you know that Rashid Davis is a 2-time Arena Bowl champion?
I did not know that.
It's good. I'm glad you do now.
Yeah, I've learned something today.
Go forth with that information.
You know what? I will. Okay, so I guess that concludes our true or false trivia. Segue to next topic.
It's pretty good.
Yeah, I thought it was smooth.
I give it like a B+.
Okay.
So our next topic is going to be a discussion about the Oscars, which did occur this past Sunday. A lot of stuff happened, a lot of stuff to talk about. Alex, what did you think about the Oscars? Did you tune in?
Oh, I didn't watch. I forgot they were on, so instead I watched Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 3.
Okay. Well, I think we're gonna try and let's make do with what we have, and I'll start off the conversation.
Okay.
Overall, I thought perhaps maybe in the minority here. I thought the Oscars were actually pretty decent this time around. I thought the ceremony was a little bit long, but I liked Jimmy Kimmel. I thought he was a lot funnier this time around than last time. I also agreed with most of the Oscars that were given out. Overall, I was actually pretty impressed.
And I thought that the 4 honor guard who get transported from feudal Japan into present day New York were also really funny in Ninja Turtles 3.
I wasn't entirely on board with Frances McDormand winning the Oscar for Best Actress for 3 Billboards Outside Ebbing, Missouri, because I wanted, some younger talent like either Saoirse Ronan or Margot Robbie or Sally Hawkins to get some attention. I thought that her speech was fine, and I thought that she had a lot of interesting things to say about the gender dynamics in Hollywood and how things can be improved.
And I thought that it would have made a lot more sense if Raphael saved Yoshi from the fire instead of Michelangelo. And I thought Raphael should have been the one who wanted to stay in feudal Japan instead of Michelangelo. Or did they both want to stay? I don't know. Who cares?
Another thing that I actually really, really enjoyed about the Oscars was, well, one of the big things that I think people have as a gripe with the Oscars is that it's very self-important, and it's very much this kind of award show of people who are out of touch, people who are very wealthy. One of the things I did like was the segment where Jimmy Kimmel went into the theater across the street during the screening of A Wrinkle in Time to reward the moviegoers and to, tell people like, hey, you're also, the people who employ us, so we want to thank you for allowing us to even have a job and like seeing all the movies that we create. So I really like that segment.
And that kind of reminds me of in Ninja Turtles when Michelangelo and Raphael are hanging out with the villagers, and the villagers are like feeding them and stuff. And it's like, thank you for being Ninja Turtles, and thank you for freeing our village from the daimyo, Lord Noranaga, played by Sab Shimono.
I also was a really big fan of seeing all the awards that both Dunkirk and The Shape of Water won. Those were two of my more, enjoyed movies of the past year. Mostly just because of how technically well made they were. I mean, say what we will about movies like Get Out and Lady Bird and, Three Billboards Outside Ebbing, Missouri. I feel like Dunkirk and The Shape of Water did the most with the medium and pushed the boundaries of what film can be and what cinema can look like. So I was really glad to see Guillermo del Toro get that Oscar. I'm a big fan of his work, and I'm glad to see Christopher Nolan get a couple more Oscars for technical awards.
I also thought there was like one really good horse stunt in Ninja Turtles 3, and I was like, wow, how'd that guy stay on? Like, and how'd that horse not like buck him off? Because it was like they're jumping through something, and I thought, man, like they must have had a really good stunt coordinator, and I'm glad that safety first was a priority on that set.
If I were to have a couple of gripes that I had with the Oscars, it would probably be less talking, more montages, because the montages in this past Oscars ceremony, they were pretty sick, and I wanted to see more of them. I also thought that the fact that Kobe Bryant won an Oscar was pretty flagrantly bad in a ceremony that's all about the changing tide in Hollywood and such. But I guess I can't really change what's history now. So next time somebody goes up to win an Oscar, hashtag Kobe.
In regards to your comments about montages, I thought they worked particularly well in Bloodsport, which I also watched during the Oscars. There's a number of scenes where all the fighters are fighting each other, and there's a montage that really artfully told the story of guys punching and kicking each other for them to find out who's the best at that.
I was a big fan of also seeing Jordan Peele win an Oscar. Not that I was the biggest fan of Get Out. I thought it was a pretty good movie, but it's good to see that even former cast members of Mad TV can get Oscars. So here's hoping for Frank Caliendo's next big project to get nominated.
I was also really happy to see that in the final fight when Frank Dukes, played by Jean-Claude, is fighting Chong Li, played by Bolo Young. I was really happy to see not just one but 4 helicopter kicks. The cool, like the Jean-Claude Van Damme spinning jump kick. I thought 1 isn't enough. 2 was like pretty good. 3 strikes, you're out, and I'm like, okay, they got to be done. But they really, as filmmakers, pushed the boundaries. They added 1 more, so it was 4.
Overall, I was a pretty big fan of this year's Oscars ceremony. I thought that all the awards given out were pretty fairly divvied out. It was good to see newcomers, get Oscars, like Roger Deakins, his first win in over 13 nominations. That's pretty crazy. Jordan Peele getting his first Oscar, that was pretty cool. Dunkirk winning a lot. Shape of Water winning a lot too. Gary Oldman getting his first Oscar. There was a lot of good takeaways for me, and I don't really regret it, even after the over 4-hour running time that it had.
Yeah, that's one thing I'd like to point out also is both Ninja Turtles 3 and Bloodsport were relatively short movies. I think they're both slightly under 90 minutes. Or maybe Ninja Turtles 3 was a little over, but both of them were about an hour and a half.
Wow. Yeah, this was a good discussion. I'm actually surprised at how well these two topics blended together.
Plot twist now to actually blend these topics together. Because I watched martial arts films which involve lots of stunt work, and he watched the Oscars. And that brings us to actually a very important topic that I think should be addressed in the movie industry. Why is there still no category for stunts at the Oscars? Now, a little background about the stunt community and all that. Well, first of all, stunt performers risk life and limb to entertain. And you could say someone loses a lot of weight for a role, but that's not common. It's like falling downstairs is falling downstairs. Or like, doing crazy driving skills. Like, that's always very dangerous.
A lot of them even lose their lives doing so.
Yeah, I mean, people have died. People have gotten severely injured. And I think part of the reason I think it's important that the Oscars acknowledge stunt work is because, now, again, granted of what I think, what anyone else may think, the Oscars are a definitive institution in terms of filmmaking. Because if you win an Oscar, you can always have that win, and people have to recognize it, and it does help with, things like certain actors or directors being hired, or box office, like a little boost. And so it's kind of like, if that's the case, then that needs to be done for stunt people as well. Jack Gill, who's known for his work on a number of movies as second unit director, stunt coordinator, and stunt performer, specifically stunt driving, most recently for things such as Jumanji: Welcome to the Jungle and Furious 7. He's been very outspoken about the issue and has led certain types of protests, and he's suggested that there be a category, and many have suggested this too, Best Action Designer, and he's gotten the support of people like James Cameron and Spielberg, because obviously with huge productions like that, those two are probably well aware of how hard stunt people work. And someone else who's also kind of suggested that stunt work needs to be recognized more is Melissa Stubbs, who worked on Ant-Man and Deadpool, but she believes in a more diplomatic approach, whereas Jack Gill has been a little more loud about his disdain with the lack of recognition in the stunt community. She kind of believes in a more diplomatic approach. She wants to sort of play ball and, get the recognition, but she's, I guess, trying to be more agreeable.
That makes sense.
And I can't help but get this feeling by the Academy Awards not having any sort of stunt performance award. It kind of feels like they're showing their anti-fun bias.
Yeah.
Because, if you're best actor, you're going to win only for certain types of roles. And even with like cinematography and special effects, it's almost like they go out of their way to choose the one that's like, well, that was a hard sci-fi and it had CGI. So now we don't have to include any of those dumb people movies.
And it's not as if there's no more room for categories to be included in the Oscars. I mean, there are 2 categories for sound mixing and sound editing, which, not to knock sound mixers and editors, they are very different, but come on, you can combine that in one category. Best sound? I mean, there's best visual effects, and that includes practical and CGI.
Yeah, and the other thing is Jack Gill has even said maybe it could be off-screen.
Yeah, even that is like, or they could be giving it out at this. Don't they have an academy like Sci-Tech Awards?
Maybe, but I would rather it be on screen. But it's, to me, it's just like you're really short-sighting a whole section of the film industry that's incredibly important.
Ironically enough, one of the least important award shows, at least in terms of the public eye, actually does award stunt performers some kind of an award like this. And it's the SAG Awards, the Screen Actors Guild. They've actually, since 2008, when they honored 2007 films from that previous year, since that award show, they've actually been doing a best, what's the award called? It's called
Stunt Ensemble, right?
Yeah, Stunt Ensemble in a Motion Picture, ever since. And some of the winners that they have had since are actually like, yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
What we got?
Well, 2007, it was The Bourne Ultimatum.
Right.
And then 2008 was The Dark Knight. 2009 was Star Trek. 2010, Inception. Just going to go through like a couple others. 2012 was Skyfall. Lone Survivor.
What about last year?
Last year was Wonder Woman.
Okay.
So, like, these are, I mean, you know, these just make sense. And I feel like this is also a category that's maybe easier to measure than, like, best sound, where it's, like, very subjective. Whereas, like, in stunts, it's like, okay, this movie had 10 fight scenes in it or something.
Right. It's number. Like, this had 10 fight scenes, a multi-car pileup.
Yeah.
And, like, 3 people were thrown downstairs.
And nobody got hurt in the production.
Yeah.
It's like, that's pretty damn good, and it should be recognized.
Right. And I think that's the thing is, I've had this argument with people so many times before, especially because art is subjective to begin with. But when I try and say, like, all jokes aside about, like, Bloodsport, but, like, the fight scenes in that are good. And all jokes aside about Mortal Kombat Annihilation. Now, I know this is going to make me sound crazy, but really, the fight scenes are pretty damn good. Robin Show and a number of the people in the cast are actual martial artists in real life, and they really showcased their skills. And I think that's the case with a lot of movies, especially, like, recently thinking of, like, Atomic Blonde. Like, that, the fight scenes in that were so insane and so well choreographed. And it wasn't just, like, a simple, like, 1-2 punch, step 2 punch that sometimes fight scenes sort of feel too much like a dance. Like, those are brutal, and if you watch the behind the scenes, they're really getting hit. Like, there's this one part, you know, the apartment fight.
Yeah.
So I'm watching this behind the scenes, and he's like, yeah, in order to not get concussed, he has to headbutt the fridge, basically. And it's like he's wearing a mouthpiece, and it's like, I'm not saying, oh yeah, give him an award for getting hurt, but I'm saying it's just like, that's a lot of work to have that kind of detail.
Yeah.
To not get hurt and to make a good fight scene. Like, there's a lot of, like, contact hits. You watched any, like, 80s, 90s, or even, like, 70s, like, kung fu movie, that, like, chalk that comes up when they hit each other, they're really hitting each other on like, certain takes. Mm-hmm. You know, it's not easy to do this.
Yeah, and I think the excuse were, like you said, like Mortal Kombat Annihilation or, like, Bloodsport. Those shouldn't be recognized. It's like, no, bad movies get Oscars. It happens. Like, if Mirror or, you know, Suicide Squad can win Oscars for, like, set decoration and production design, it's like, we can give movies like Bloodsport or Kickboxer best stunts, which is like, I mean, come on, is it really that important of an Oscar anyway? I mean, I know production design is, like, it's a huge field, but, like, it's not best actor or best director.
Right, and that's the thing, is, like, what's so wrong with saying, because let's be real, saying best stunts is kind of like saying best fun movie.
Yeah.
Or, like, coolest action. Mm-hmm. What's wrong with that? Because that's not saying, like, this is more relevant than your drama or your period piece about, like, boring stuff. Like, who knows?
Well, it's the same thing with visual effects. It's like, not every movie has them.
Right, not every movie has them, but certainly a large portion of movies do have visual effects, and you could say the same thing about stunts.
Right. And the thing is, visual effects is a category, while best action design or whatever it ends up being called is yet to be a category yet. And I think it should be.
Isn't it kind of ridiculous that we're this far along in movie making and it's not?
Yeah, we're at the 90th. Well, now we're going on the 91st Academy Awards coming a year from now, basically. It's pretty crazy that we have yet to really nail this category down, and we have had other things come out, like, you know, best animated short and best documentary short subject and best visual effects, but not this.
But nope, you can't have people who literally, like, crash into things and get punched in the face, like accidentally or maybe on purpose, depending on how hard the stunt is.
Especially for as long.
Nope, that doesn't matter to the Academy.
Yeah. You'd think they'd be more like open to it, especially with how long stunts have been a thing. Like even Charlie Chaplin's work is heavily stunt reliant.
Well, your movie wasn't about a Civil War like newsy kid handing out newspapers or whatever like Oscar bait movies are about now. Yeah, no. So we can't recognize your hard work. Like it takes to be okay. They're both crafts. Mm-hmm. Like acting is a craft. Not everyone can do it. Mm-hmm. Action stunt, like doing a backflip, is a craft. You have to learn technique. You have to practice it over and over again.
It's like any other category in the Academy
right, and
Awards.
That's what I always try and tell people when they argue, like, well, action movies aren't art. It's like, well, not like art in the sense like highbrow art, but it can still be interesting and engaging in a way that resonates with you or captures your imagination or what have you, or
stimulates you, all that stuff.
Yeah, it can. It's just I don't understand why there's such a like look down at your nose upon it kind of attitude about it.
Yeah.
Especially because action movies and action stars, I don't really think that's the kind of recognition they want, like high art, but they do want some credit for their hard work. Yeah, so I guess in conclusion, I'd say it's about time to get an Oscar for stunts.
All right, everybody, thanks for listening to this third episode of the Bonus Features podcast. We thank you again for listening, and we encourage you to tune in next time for when we have a fourth episode. And we also encourage you to comment, listen to more of our content. If you do so, we'll be very, very thankful.
And also be on the lookout for our new YouTube channel, which will be a secondary home for our latest episodes.